Hello everyone and welcome to English Open round 4, and it is a clash that I've been waiting for almost a day now. It is the world number 1 Judd Trump against the world number 30 Yuan Sijun, a clash that has been a victim of good fortune here for Trump so far. Talk about that in a second. And Judd Trump is now ready to break off and get the first frame underway against his opponent. So certainly looking forward to this clash. That's starts off with a decent break-off shot there. Trump doesn't leave anything away to his opponent. So it is now Sijun's turn to try and do something about it. And yeah, the reason I say this clash is usually a sign of good fortune for Judd Trump is the 2 times that those two have met between each other in the English Open in their career. Trump has gone on to win the entire tournament ever since. That happened in 2023 and 2020. So Trump managed to defeat Yuan Sijun in the last 16 and the last 64 there, with 4-2 and 4-3 being the scorelines. This time they meet in the last 32 and going to battle for a spot in the last 16 here in that 1/8 of a final. Little exchange of a safety shots there, and it is Trump that leaves away a shot now for Yuan to try and potentially make usage of. Not going to be too easy for him to try and dispatch the world number 1, but so far he's had a decent campaign, and of course beating Ben Wollaston. Another funny story, the wife of Ben Wollaston is actually officiating this match, so something that probably would not have happened had Ben managed to progress to the round 4 here. And this time, as Yuan Sijun refuses the red into the left corner, he leaves away the same red for Trump to try and make usage of. But Trump himself decides to go against that, goes for another red, and finds the cue ball past all of the reds there. Gets himself nicely on the brown, so first chance of the match here will go towards Judd Trump, and a brilliant long pot there into the right corner. And the first point of the match in favour of the ace in the pack. And yeah, once again, as I mentioned, very interesting to see how well is Trump going to be playing. It's the main question for me. And when you talk about Yuan Sijun, it's all going to be very difficult for him, but it's all about trying to get some early rhythm, early momentum. But so far, it is Trump with all the momentum in the world. He's got a sequence of lovely shots there. Gets himself with the right side of the blue. The red positions, not necessarily the best, with only two more of them being in the open play. Are playable into the right corner or the middle. So Trump will have to go for the corner shot first. But as I say, the rest of them are bunched up very closely to each other. And surely going to be a target after Trump will line himself up another time on the blue. But now he still has 2 more open reds to try and pot. Get himself as many points as possible on the board. Remember that Trump had the 3rd round action yesterday against Michael Holt. Managed to win that one in a whitewash. And Trump this time not messing around and not taking his time, deciding to leave that red that I was talking about into the right corner for a potential chance, as he goes into the reds very heavily indeed. Lands himself on a couple into the left corner. He's got the same red that I mentioned into the right middle as well. In left middle, I should say. But it looks like he'll go into the left corner now, just choosing which one of the reds to go for. Doesn't seem to be too happy with either one of those. And just a little bit of a time delay here for Trump. He just wants to make sure he takes the best shot available to him. And so far in the poll, 83% think that Judd Trump is going to win. Only 17% go for Yuan Sijun. I think that's fair. I would have probably gone for 80% Trump and 20% for Yuan here. But Trump still hasn't made his mind on the next shot, and looks like he will be playing for the left corner, getting the cue ball somewhat safe towards the sort of blue and the bulk area. Tries to get the cue ball in between the reds, but you can see why he wanted to hesitate on that, because the cue ball found the middle pocket there and gives away 4 points now to his opponents. And a ball in hand, of course, so doing everything right in terms of potting the red, but the cue ball there just finding a middle pocket. And Trump is going to be in a little bit of trouble as he leaves a couple of reds for Sijun to try and choose from. Yuan now will probably get his eye on the one to the right corner, but the cue action is going to be absolutely massive as he's got a lot of distance there to try and cover. We're sending the cue ball up towards the table, with the pink and black being out of the equation for now. And lovely shot there, gets the red in very, very nicely, lands himself probably more on the yellow or the brown there, has overplayed the blue. And yeah, certainly deserves the round of applause, that shot. Once again now, in terms of the positional play, ever since Trump has gone into the back of the reds, it has developed slightly. The problem for Trump is going to be, for now it is developed for his opponent. And certainly can try and win this frame in this visit now. The only problem, as I say, is the black being out of the equation. The pink is potable for now. And should it be potted, actually, I might think he will go on the black spot, which might actually be a blessing in disguise for Sijun here. Man from China. The world number 30, of course, has had a reasonable start to the season. Hasn't had a blistering beginning of it, though. And, well, we will be blistering in English Open if he manages to take out the world number 1. That'll certainly be one of the headlines. For now, he needs to focus on taking the opening frame, as he's had a really golden chance here. And straight away there, not landing perfectly on this red, into the left corner. He's got a lot of angle there to try and cover up. In the end, the red will drop in. And Sijun will finish just about on the right side of the blue, even though the cue ball being very close to the cushion. Now he's got still 2 more reds to try main mat until he sort of has to go towards some of the reds being in semi-problematic spots. So there's one underneath the black spot on the black cushion there. There's another one being a lot closer to the right corner there, and one more on the left side cushion. So those 3 are probably the only ones that Sijun will potentially struggle with. And for now, he will go onto the red, into the left middle. Finds himself ahead now in this match for the first time. And, yes, certainly needs to build up some more of those points. The pace of the break hasn't been significant and hasn't been blistering so far. But he can still be away now, as for the first time going to land himself on the pink after the red will disappear into that left middle, and just try and maybe push one of those reds towards the sort of cushion and the middle pocket area, land himself on one of those reds into the right corner, which is something that he managed to do, avoiding the red in the end. And the pink will go back on its spot, so with Sijun freeing up some of those reds, probably was intentional for him to wait until the pink can actually be potted and respotted into its own spot there. Now accumulating 27 points, still 83 on the table. So certainly the frame hasn't been won. But he's getting closer now, Sijun. Just minding that gap to Trump and making it bigger and bigger. It's now at 33 points, so almost doubling the points tally of Trump. One more red into the left corner, and then you'll have to get a little bit trickier for Yuan here. As straight away there, a little hesitation on this red into the left corner. Probably has to play for the pink here once again. And decides to do that. Doesn't want to straighten it. Doesn't want to be straight on it though. Wants the cue ball to have a little bit of an angle to try and go into the bunch of 2 reds. and hopefully land on at least one of them. So he's just checking to see whether one of them will go into the right middle, in case he has landed with the no angle to try and potentially play. And so he has got slight angle on this ping, but let's see if he's going to go into the reds or he's just going to line up one into the right middle. So the decision is he has got into the reds, landed a bit awkwardly on one of them, but he's still alright. And with the cue ball heading towards the ball colours, I think he'll be somewhat safe should he miss this red, which is not an easy cut into the right corner, but certainly the one that you would expect Sijun to go for. And has been a good start for him, and he just needs to make sure he takes the first frame of this campaign away from Trump. You know, the only match that he had to play was yesterday, as I mentioned, against Michael Holt, with Trump actually struggling in the opening frame, but Holt didn't manage to win that one in a single visit, and something that Sijun will struggle with, as he hasn't landed on any of the ball colours perfectly, and now has got a decision to make. Does he go for the green into the corner pocket, or does he just try and snooker Trump and let him back to the table? And the decision was made, and it is a snooker in behind the green, so Sijun hasn't managed to take the opening frame here in a single visit to the table. And now he's leading by 24 points. Has to be careful, Trump, to get himself perfectly on this red. And of course, not give up the position. It's going to be very, very crucial for him to do that. So, not too sure which red he's actually going to be playing for. Probably try and get the right-hand side of the one just below the pink. It's a difficult shot for him to try and execute. In the end, misses it. Gives away 4 points now. And those can start mounting. With 59 points now on the table. As, the referee will be asked by Sijun to just make sure that cue ball is in the exact position as it was, and Trump to have attempt number 2. And in the end, it's a much better attempt number 2 in terms of hitting the red, but it's probably given away a red along the cushion now for Sijun. I don't think he can play the same red that Trump has got quite hard into. In the end, probably is unlucky to catch the pink with the way he did. And Yuan now has got a decision to make ahead of him. Which red does he go for, if any? Surely he can't turn down an offer like this. With, of course, the only problem and the only situation for him right now is the referee there just having a little look. The scoreline, just want to see what the conversation is about potentially. He doesn't seem to be happy about something. So just saw something on the scoreboard there, but in the end, it's all done. So Sijun can try and go back to his scoring chance, but the problem is going to be trying to land on a colour from this red into the left corner. Needs to key this one off the rest perfectly, and has just about on the run for the blue there. He's going to be very straight on it, but as I say, one more red at least that he's got into the left corner. He's very close to the pocket, so shouldn't be too much of a struggle. If he could just roll the cue ball through this shot, land himself quite close to the cushion, give himself some sort of angle to play the shot. Back for the blue. We only need 2 more reds here, and he'll be away as we get a replay of this very nice shot of the rest. Cued this one to an absolute perfection. Done everything he had to. Once again, has to do the same thing off this red. On towards the blue. The ball is in very, very nicely. The cue ball is just about perfect now. So, once again, a sublime positional shot. And one more transition needed. And he should be away in this opening frame. So, needed only a blue and a red. The blue is in comfortably. Not so comfortable on the red, though. Has got slight angle. As I say, the red is quite close to the pocket itself, but still needs to pot it. This angle makes it look very, very easy, but still missable, these types of shots. In the end, Yuan does manage to get it in and will surely now win the opening frame and have an early lead against the world number 1 Judd Trump. So very important for him to do that, to try and get himself ahead and sort of in a prime position. You know, with it being such a short format, as I keep mentioning, all the frames that you lose can start to accumulate very, very soon. And Sijun there goes for a shot there that he didn't mean to do, but in the end, it's not going to matter, as he pots the red of an absolute fluke into the left middle. Judd Trump will surely stay in his chair and concede the frame and make it Judd Trump 0, Yuan Sijun 1 after the opening encounter here in the round 4. As I say, very important for Trump now to get the second frame on his board. And the 3 other matches that are still going on is Gary Wilson against Elliot Slesser. The winner of that pair will play the winner of Judd Trump against Yuan Sijun, and Lee Pei Fan against Mark Selby, another top 10 player performing here in Brentwood. He's now leading by 1 frame to 0 against Lee Pei Fan, and Pang Jung Soo is now losing to Robbie Williams by 1 frame to 0. Robbie Williams, of course, being the man on the charge after defeating the world number 2, Kyron Wilson, the 3rd highest seed in the tournament. After Judd Trump and Neil Robertson did manage to survive at least a single round encounter and progress to round 4 here. Well, Trump now has got a little bit of a harder task ahead of him. You know, as I say, it's a very short format, and he can't afford to lose, I should say, 2 frames in a row here, especially at the start. Give his opponent a head start and a significant handicap. For now, the second frame is about to begin as the racking up procedure of the table is complete. So just waiting for the call by Tatiana Wollaston, and we'll be underway for the second time here in the match. As I say, the match of Lee Pei Fan against Mark Selby is certainly the one to keep an eye on. That winner will play Wu Yize, that has had a brilliant match against Chris Wakelin. In the end, managed to come through that encounter by 4 frames to 2 and book himself into the last 16. Selby there, edging a little bit closer after the opening frame to try and make sure he'll get his chance to play Wu Yize. And of course, him being the finalist last year, losing out to Neil Robertson and becoming a runner-up of that tournament by 9 frames to 7. Funnily enough, defeating Chris Wakelin on the charge for that final as well in the semi-final by a very confident scoreline of 6 frames to 1. And right now it is Yuan Sijun to break off here and get the second frame underway. So much anticipated, and yeah, certainly looking forward to see what the response from Judd Trump is going to be. Whether it's going to be a switch of the play or just trying to do the same thing that he's been so good at. Has got a long pot to try and take into the right corner. Something that he managed to do in the opening frame, and once again does it. How's the cue ball positioning going to be? He seems to be pacey, but he seems to be fine for the brown into the left middle, so Trump can be on the break now. It's just a question of can he get the white towards the remaining reds, or is he going to be just playing the cue ball in towards the green there? And the answer is the snooker attempt in behind the green, so only 1 point scored after a brilliant long pot. Trump making that 2 out of 2 here, and shouldn't be too complicated, too difficult for Yuan to get out of the situation he finds himself in and catch the cue ball onto the reds there. Have to see how that one will go. So I think the 2 cushion escape and trying to cannon into one of those reds that is remote from the bunch is going to be the easiest shot. As apart from that, he is going to risk to give away some form of reds. And yeah, so certainly taking his time here on this shot, Yuan. Doesn't even know, it seems, which side cushion to play off first. think the left one is a little bit easier if you can just try and roll up to one of those reds just underneath the bunch. From the left hand side, doing that after 2 cushion escape is going to be easier. So something that Yuan seems to be doing now. Certainly using the left hand side, using 2 cushion escape that I talked about. And catching the wrong red though. And probably he's going to give a chance away to Judd Trump into the left corner. So I probably would agree with the execution that he tried to do, but the accuracy wasn't there. Caught the wrong red and has left the red into both the right middle and the left corner. So we're now going to find out what's going to happen, as the black still remains to be a point of mystery. Trump has to check whether he'll go past the red. So if there's any point to be playing for the black there, or he has to try and reach for the pink. Certainly going to take this red on into the right corner. And important shot this is straight away, as the red is in. The cue ball though, it's going to be quite close to the cushion there. A lot of distance in between the white and the black there. And has to play this shot perfectly now. And Trump has got another decision to try and make, because I don't think he's landed on the pink there. So it is taking the black or nothing. Might actually be able to reach the pink into the right middle, but the fact is he's not even looking for it. So certainly going to take the black on. Important shot this is for the second frame. For the world number 1. He needs to make it stick, and does. How's the cue ball positioning going to be? He's going to be probably fortunate there, as Trump cannon into the reds, and in the end the cue ball just finding a little bit of freedom for itself. As we have a look another time at this black there. Certainly a very difficult shot for him to try and execute, but in the end playing that very well. But the troubles don't end here for Trump, as he's going to struggle with the color selection. He's got a red into the corner now, into the middle I should say, but now he finds himself on the wrong side of the blue, so we'll have to use the ball cushions to try and get the cue ball back towards the bottom part of the table. Scoring 15 points now. That shot though was performed brilliantly. And yeah, so Trump has to do something about the colours, and probably the best thing to try and do that is free up the red, which is taking the black spot at the moment, and just try and do something in and around the black spot. For now has to go for the blue one more time, and let's see how many points can Trump accumulate this time. Managed the break of 70 as his maximum in the opening one. Has already managed to beat that with a break of 21. Does indeed land on the red that I was talking about, so I would expect the pink to be potted very, very soon. With the black going on the pink spot as well. And not being really pottable at these points. I think Trump will just sacrifice that point sequence and land on the pink when he wants to. For now, overlands the blue slightly. Lands himself with an awkward angle there to try and get on the next red. And once again, has to play through there. Through the bunch. Let's see if he wants to go into the bunch there or try and avoid that. He has gone into the bunch. And he hasn't got anything easy once again here. So the break, even though the position is complicating, the break hasn't been straightforward at all here for Trump. Something that he's usually the best on the tour at doing. Still can just about get through to the red there. I didn't actually think he could. Into the left corner. And once again on the run in there for the blue. So might actually be better off going for the pink here into the right corner. And that time the positional shot on the red is going to be easier, but the pot of the actual pink isn't. And once again the cue ball being guided towards the next red. So this time it's a lot better of a shot, and Trump is probably about to get in and around the black spot with the pink now sitting there very, very comfortably. At least for a couple of more of those shots, with still 2 more reds for him to try and play into. Cannons the cue ball into one of those reds to get himself the best possible angle on the pink. So a brilliant response now. It's looking like so far in the second frame. Trump is accumulating those points. It's already on 41. One more red, as I say, into the right corner. One more red on the side cushion there, on the left-hand side of the table. So I think that will be saved by Trump for sort of a shot if he needs it. And for now, off this pink, he'll certainly go into the bunch of reds and try and get himself on at least one of those. And how's his luck going to be? It's not going to be perfect, but the red that I was talking about along the side cushion probably was left by Trump very wisely. As it probably is his only chance now to try and stay on this break. Just roll this red into the left corner, land himself once again for the pink on the black spot, and try and do something from there. Still, Trump dominating in the poll, who will win this match by 88% to 12. And just about squeezes that red in. So caught the front jaw of the pocket with a minimal effect. But in the end, he's all right. And he's now just a couple of shots away from claiming the second frame. And still making it a little bit of a Trump show. You know, Sijun has already managed to surpass the record of Michael Holt in the third round by taking at least one of those frames away from Trump, but doesn't seem to be the case in the second frame, as it was of course Trump that started off with a brilliant long pot, didn't manage to land on the colour, but made a very wise decision by not trying to go for the brown into the middle and just rolling up in behind the green. That has allowed him to snooker Yuan, and after careful minutes of consideration on the following shot, didn't manage to get the cue ball safe there and has left Trump with chance, and the chance that he certainly will take now with only one more red left into the right corner for the frame ball, for him to make it a 63 point of a gap on only 59 points on the table. So certainly one of the easiest ones that you'll see. And it is the frame number 2 to Judd Trump, so an early exchange of frames now, with the match not even being a half an hour, and we're already at 1 frames all. Now the question is, Trump will want to find out, and of course we want to find out as snooker fans, is he going to be able to make a century break? And you can see there the replay, if you're watching this on the WST Tour broadcast, that you're showing the break-off shot from Sijun there that ultimately cost him the frame. Couldn't do anything about the snooker escape, and had to lose the frame in its entirety to Trump, as now Trump once again goes into the last cluster of reds, frees all of them up, and he's now comfortably away for a century break, being very much on the horizon. Around 7 shots now remaining to do that. I think you'll need the yellow, with the black now going onto the green spot, so has to do it with the pink back on its original spot there, and still showing that flawless cue ball control in and around the lets. Lands perfectly on one of those into the right corner, and just has to roll this one in with no real pace there. Land probably on the blue there, which is the color that he was aiming for, but in the end underrun for it slightly, so we'll use the pink as a mid-range shot there, an easier positional shot on the red. And certainly doing everything he can and doing very, very nicely. Now on 91 points. So, as I say, 3 more reds, 3 more shots now needed. As he'll go for the pink though. He should only need the yellow there, but he decides to go for the blue. So we'll need the green as well to be potted into the yellow pocket for him to make a century break. And so far on the break of 97, making that 99 from the yellow. So the green for the century break in the second frame here, for Judd Trump to have a perfect ending to this second frame and do it in style. So a break of 101. Not too sure he's landed on the brown, but that's not going to matter, as he goes for a snooker escape shot, misses it in the end. But it is going to be a break of 101 for Judd Trump, and in the end he will take the second frame and make it a scoreline of Judd Trump 1, Yuan Sijun 1 as well. And brilliant response there from Trump. Certainly doing everything he had to. You know, he was a bit scrappy in the opening frame. He had a chance, but didn't manage to take it. In the end's done that in the second frame. And something that Mark Selby seems to be doing. He's on a break of 61 now already in the second frame. So certainly seems to be dominating early rounds there against Li Beifan. Robbie Williams trying to do a very similar thing there, leading Pang Jingzhu by 1 frame to 0 and being on the break himself. Similar to Elias Lesser claiming the opening frame against Gary Wilson, the Wuhan Open runner-up there. And he's currently on the break himself as Selby will clinch the second frame and make it a 2-0 scoreline against Li Beifan. So Mark Selby certainly seems to be on a charge there. And we'll be looking forward to meeting Wu Yize should he convert those 2 early frames won against Li Beifan. So those two have got a little bit of history in between them, with the matches in between Wu and Selby being very, very close in the past there. But we're about to get some more action on table number 1 here. Table number 2, I should say. The main one being Li Beifan and Mark Selby, of course. But Judd Trump will be enjoying what he's seen in the second frame from terms of his performance. As I say, it was very important for him not to go 2-0 down. And he's managed to avoid doing that. And Selby there ends his break and ends the second frame as well. So he's now going to lead Li Beifan by 2 frames to 0. And yeah, so the winner of Judd Trump against Yuan Sijun will play the winner of Gary Wilson against Elias Lesser. So far, Elias Lesser has started the better of the two there, leading by 1 frame to 0, and as I say, being on the break currently. Lesser that has managed to reach the semi-final of Saudi Arabia Masters earlier in the season, and to lose to Neil Robertson though. He hasn't managed to produce the best snooker on that day, but so far playing very nicely against Gary Wilson, as Trump now will get the third frame underway with a break-off shot of his, as he gets a thumbs up there from the referee. And once again we'll do it from the right hand side of the table, so placing the cue ball in between the brown and the pink, and starts off there with a decent break-off shot. One of the reds has gone towards the middle pocket line, but the cue ball has landed immaculately and very, very well positioned now on the bowl cushion. And we start off the third frame pretty much in sync with table number 1, and Selby is having a break off of his against Li Beifan there, but Yuan Sijun is lining a shot up potentially into the right corner. In the end goes against that, tries to switch the run of play there, but doesn't look like he's done that too well. Just about that red, just about there, drifts off towards the cushion, but it was very, very close to leaving that on for Trump. In the end, you'll have to go for a shot, sending the cue ball back down towards the black ball cushion, and potentially aim that red towards the middle. In the end, nothing doing off that, but by allowing the cue ball to run not so much of a distance there, he potentially has left the red into the green pocket, so it's not an easy one. It's the same that I was talking about that Yuan nearly left for Trump. And is he going to take this red on now is the question. As Trump there dominating the pole now by 90% to 10. It was as much as 30% earlier. But right now it's Trump taking this table by storm. And where's the cue ball going to finish? After Yuan manages to pot that red, and he's going to finish perfectly on the black there, and probably too perfect, with it being very, very straight there. So let's see if he can just line up a shot there into the left middle. And we're about to find out. So he can't do that, but he can try and aim himself for a red into the right middle. So it's a difficult shot for Yuan to try and take on, but it's not going to be too much risk involved with that. With him, I assume, just screwing down there from that red onto the cue. And once again trying himself trying to find himself on the black here and not give a simple red away. As he plays with one with a lot of power there, rattles the cue ball into the cushion there. As the red will find its way into the pocket, and Yuan will find his way on the black here. So scoring 9 points. Hasn't got too many reds to try and deal with, so I would expect him to go into the pack very, very soon. It's exactly what he's done now. And he's landed on at least one of those reds. Has developed a couple as well. That's going to be a bonus. Had to miss the red and not to clip the white wall with it. Has managed to do it, and will now just play through the shot, land himself nicely for the black. And yeah, so far it has been a brilliant exchange of breaks here. The opening frame was very much dominated by Yuan Sijun after an early mistake by Trump. Trump responded well by dominating the second frame, not giving his opponent any more than 2 shots. And now Sijun will be trying to do that, as he's got a really nice position ahead of him, but the position that he just made a lot more complicated for himself. You know, didn't have to go into the bunch of reds just yet. Decided to do that, and has landed very awkwardly on this red into the right middle. So needs to make it, and also needs to be perfect on the next color. So it's a difficult shot for him to try and take on, and it's the one that he misses. So the good news for him, of course, was that he was actually aiming for the color and not for the red. And with that red going safe, it's only a long shot now, opportunity for Judd Trump. The position now being looking ever so nicely, but it is Judd Trump that will have the first chance to make usage of this position after a mistake from Yuan Sijun, and once again clinical with the long pot. Let's see where the cue ball is going to end up. Would have liked to have a little kiss on the blue there. In the end, didn't have it, and will now face a shot selection of either blue or brown or yellow. I think those 3 being the main colours that he's got up ahead of him. So we'll go for the blue here and just play the cue ball into the pack there. Try and land on at least one of those reds, and he's done that to an absolute perfection. He could not have done and have performed this shot any better than he has. And all of a sudden, after Yuan Sijun was in prime position to take the third frame, it is Judd Trump now with only having 18 points to sort of climb back from. And the camera is on now on Yuan Sijun, being very sleepy in his chair, as he will know inevitably that this is a chance that he's given away to his opponent that he could have had to himself. And now Trump needs to make sure he doesn't do that himself. He just makes the most out of the opportunity presented to him so cheaply by his opponent. As Trump now is looking to pot this blue as he lands the wrong side of it. So the cue action is going to be very, very important for him. And he's overdone it. I mean, he's overdone it by some margin. Question is, has he got a red into the left middle now? So a couple of scrappy shots there from Trump himself. All of a sudden, he doesn't find himself in a prime position anymore. With still, as I say, the reds being spread out the way they are and positioned really nicely. It's a surprise to see so many errors in terms of the positional play from both players, but Trump recovers very, very nicely with the red into left middle. Wasn't easy, but he's now going to hopefully try and make the most out of this position and now land himself on the blue. So 5 more points scored, and he's only behind by 6 points right now. So Trump on the charge for the third frame hunt, and still rising in the pole percentage, so being up to 90 now. Wow. As I say, it was as low as 65 when the streamer started. It is now reaching 90, even though for now the scoreline is equal, although it is Trump on the table. At the table, I should say. He's not literally on the table. He's not having a rest shot anymore, as he just lands himself nicely onto black, into the right corner. And finally, he's looking to make usage of the reds that I have kept saying are positioned ever so nicely here. So it took him time. Certainly had to play a couple of difficult shots on the blue, with running the wrong side of it a couple of times. In the end, he's on 27 points. He's ahead by 3 now, and still 83 on the table, so this should be a straightforward ending for Judd Trump. As if he just makes usage of those 4 reds available, I think he should be away in the third frame, with at least 3 of them being in very, very good position. One more just tied up to the pink there, but shouldn't be an issue to try and develop that one, as Trump once again lands a little bit straight on this blue. I think he's just about having the slightest of angles to go back to the bottom part of the table. Hello Kevin. Nice to see you, my friend. Hello there, hello. I've got people joining in, or might actually be delaying the chat there. So 16 points is the difference between Trump and Yuan now. Has got a semi-difficult red to try and make into the right corner. In the end, manages it very nicely. So he's now ahead by 17 points. We'll make that around 24 now, and still have at least 2 more reds, as I say, available to him. So I think he will need one of those reds that are placed on the cushion. 2 of them being on the black ball cushion and on the ball cushion respectively, and 1 more being on the left side cushion of the table. He's now on 49 points, is Judd Trump, leading by 25, and we're able to make that 32 with the black. So we'll go for a red into the left corner along the cushion, give himself a nice little angle on the cue ball to try and make usage of, and land himself once again nicely for this black, as he does. So this time you'll have a beautiful chance to cannon into the pink there and try and develop the last red that he will need, with him tipping over the 40-point advantage now. The next red elimination will cut that down to 43 points on the table, and the next colour will be a frame ball here for Judd Trump, but he decided to go for the shot along the cushion onto the yellow pocket, and this is not an easy one, with the amount of cue action he has to produce to get himself back for one of those ball colours. And in the end, he does it so nicely once again there. Just powers the red into the yellow pocket, and will now probably play the yellow itself in the green pocket, or to be fair, I think it makes more sense for him to play the brown, as that'll get him over the line here and get the frame ball out of the way. As the brown is in indeed. And let's just see if he's going to end up on the red as well. Doesn't look like that has happened, as the red into the left corner is going to be a problem. But once again, as I say, Trump has managed to get himself over the line in terms of the frame ball being out of the way, and probably will just play some safety of his own. New cue, he says, more power. Well, I don't know how much more power you need if you're Judd Trump, because I mean the cue action power that he produces, I mean, no one on the tour can match, as he will end the break there on the value of 69. Give away a chance now to Yuan Sijun to at least play a couple of more shots. He only has to search for 1 snooker here, and starts off with just playing a safety shot, sending the cue ball towards the yellow pocket, and yeah, looking like a great response now from Trump. Has Superman power? Well, I mean, he is. There's some stuff that he does on the snooker table. I think I'll be looking forward to see if Zhao Xington can try and match that in the future, but so far no one can get anywhere near the sort of stuff that Trump can do in terms of positional play, the cue action, the cue power. Once again there, finds a really good safety, covers up one of the reds that has gone over the middle. In behind the black, it's going to be the cue ball now. And Sijun there responding with a decent safety of his own. Looks like he has snooker jumped here. And, to be fair, even though there are 2 reds on the table, one of them is very far from the side cushion. The other one being quite close to the black here, so it's not a straightforward shot for Trump to try and take care of. And once again, Trump just has to See what can he do here. He inevitably will go for the right side cushion, which he just realized he will. And probably will go for the red. Just above the black there, but he catches the black. And wow, that puts Sijun right back into play. With him being behind by 38 points, still 43 on the table. This could be a massive shot now for Judd to miss. And what a snooker it was for Yuan Sijun to trouble the world number 1. And what a steal this could be now. He's got a red, which is difficult, into the right corner. But as I say, should he get on the break, all the colours are pretty much on their spots apart from the black now. And it's still very much in open play. This could be trouble time for Judd. And Sijun now, all he has to do is to make this red in, land himself on the colour. And he probably will be away. As he gets the red in, but he doesn't land on the colour perfectly. And when I say perfectly, he probably hasn't landed on the colour at all. Because of the position of the red. Ideally, he would have liked to be going towards the bottom part of the table. But instead, he has to either play a really difficult pink with the rest and try and just hand the cue ball around there. Try and play the black into the green pocket. He will go for the pink here. So, very important shot and very difficult shot. And in the end, he misses it. Straight away, he puts himself in behind in terms of points. So, that was a frame ball for him to stay within the distance of a frame catching the amount of points. And now Trump will surely just put the red in to the right corner with no real pressure on him and playing the third frame. And this could be a very significant win for him. And what a significant loss this could be for Yuan Sijun, as he now, well, definitely will lose the third frame and will make it a scoreline of 2-1 in favour of the world number 1. And that percentage is only going to rise now for Trump, as he seems to be on his way to last 16 here. Now you'll have a couple of more shots to just spot because he can for a potential total clearance of 35 points. Gets the green in just about after landing very awkwardly on it. And now 12 points scored for him. Still 22 on the table, but he'll try and play some sort of exhibition shot on the brown. In the end, he'll miss it. And still, it's not going to matter massively. As it's still Judd 2, Yuan Sijun 1 in terms of the frames. Hello, Kevin. Hope you're feeling better. Yeah, definitely. Let us know how you're feeling on the rib that you talked about. And yeah, I'm going to have a look at how the other matches are doing. So, Sol Selby being in his chair for a long time in the third frame, as he's now 42 points behind. But he's currently on the break in the third frame, so could still make it 3-0 of a gap now to Lee Bei-fan. So Elias Lesser has been doing pretty much the same there against Gary Wilson. He's on a lead of 2-0 against Gary Wilson. And Pang Jung-soo is battling hard now against Robbie Williams in the second frame. So that one is not over just yet with the 4 colours remaining on the table. As I say, Mark Selby is still probably going to be the favourite now for the frame number 3, as he is on the break and only 29 points behind Lee Bei-fan there. So the points are starting to mount for him. And we're about to get the fourth frame underway, as it's going to be Yuan Sijun with a break-off shot. Once the referee get all of those reds and colours on their spots, just checking the ping situation. And we should be from there. Playing for to rest, but more snooker to watch, so I'm happy, well, certainly. And the action won't end until, at least for a couple of weeks, as we got the English Open until the end of this week. And of course, straight after that, there'll be a British Open. A couple of days later, there'll be International Championship. And before you know it, we're into late October, and it's Open Snooker time. We're still waiting there for the players to come back on the fourth frame. For now, I can keep you updated on the Selby break, as it has been producing plenty of points there for him. He's now on the 27 points of a break, as Trump is finally back now to the table. So it will be Yuan Sijun, of course, to break off for the 4th frame to get it underway. And will be, yes, full on now. 4-1 says Cosmin Stangshu. Well, if you think the scoreline is going to be 4-1, it'll be the first time that these two have met in English Open, and it was a scoreline of 4-1. As I say, those two have met already twice in before, in 2020 and 2023. Trump, funnily enough, managed to win both of those matches, but also managed to win the entire tournament. So, as I say, it's a sign of good fortune when Trump meets Sijun, and especially if he beats him here in English Open. And what a shot to start off the frame number 4 there. Catches the brown very kindly to him as well, and gets the red into the right corner. A real possibilities for sure, especially if he has more of shots like that, as he is looking to have a 3-1 cushion at the moment. Certainly has been the man on the charge and the man on the mission. As to say, really reminds me heavily of the match of Neil Robertson against Sonia Carney there. You know, Robertson lost the opening frame, but has managed to win 4 frames after that. And Trump Bain more than halfway there now, as he's on a comfortable break of 13 points after another black disappears, and still has at least 5 more reds to try and accumulate a lot more points. You know, 5 reds with 5 blacks is going to be 40 points in terms of, you add that to 13 he has already, and it could be a very significant points advantage. He now seems to be running away with it, Trump, to an extent, and this is why Sijun should have won the frame number 3. Should have done a lot better on that positional shot and not give away a chance to Trump. And in the end, even when Trump made the mess of that, it was another mistake, mistake number 1 from Sijun, and left an easy chance for Trump after missing that pink into the right corner. You know, he managed to get a snooker back in that frame, but still hasn't managed to win it. And it's now Trump accumulating all of those points, getting himself 22 points clear. Lands a little bit straight on this black though, so would expect a lot of backspin to go into this cue ball and try and send it back towards the remaining reds. And once again, a reminder that we will be covering the live action after this match, with Mark Williams and Watchalong being the 2 contestants for the last 16 spot. Certainly being the 2 players on the mission. Both of them have had a straightforward and a decent start to their campaign, but Trump there, I mean, it's not a mistake that you would expect him to make. Absolutely making the mess of this position. Wonderful, thank you, no worries. But yeah, certainly, if it was looking like Trump was going to take this 4th frame, it's now looking like he just has to find a safety shot from this blue. He's very straight on it, and it's looking into the brown spot, so landed just below it, developed all of those reds very, very nicely. And he's now probably looking just to play away from this red, from this blue I should say. In behind the brown, onto the ball cushion. So something that he's done. And only has 30 points though, so with the position that it was, once again something that we've seen Trump do at least 2 times in this match is trying to develop the position before taking out all of the reds that are available to him. Is of course you can understand why he's doing that. You know, the remaining reds and the ones that are in open position give you more of a chance to try and land on one of those when you go into the pack, but that hasn't worked out for him on any of the occasions really. Yes, Sijun there. This is what I liked about the sort of matches that we've had so far. Those players being really, really attacking, and it's going to be a quick succession there of long pot chances. Sijun there had a chance himself, but missed it, and Judd will try and make the second break count. Gets the red into the right middle, finds himself once again on the wrong side of the blue. Yuan doesn't seem to be too happy with himself, as he's just shaking his head, sitting in his chair. unlucky for Judd. Yeah, if you talk about the previous miss, it was a bit unlucky to land on the blue the way he did. But once again, is in and around the break situation, and this time the blue is in. How's the cue ball going to go? Doesn't want it in the pocket though, and just about stays out, and that'll do him nicely. As, he still has a shot now into the left corner. And he bodied the cue ball. It would have been obviously a ball in hand for his opponent. For now, has to cue this one nicely though. Needs to make sure this red is in, and it's not. So I said he got away with it, and he certainly didn't get away with the miss on that red. So now only managing the value of 6 points there. In the end, it is going to be a 36-point advantage. And the question is, has he given away anything to Yuan Sijun? Don't think he has really, unless he's got some kind of a red to try and play into the left middle. I think they're all sort of in the way of each other. And yeah, probably just a safety now for Yuan to try and play. So for the first, probably it was going to be a difficult position on the blue before that shot, as he had a difficult red into the right middle, but after that he just didn't get enough power on that blue and landed awkwardly. Probably fortunate to an extent to catch the jaw of the middle pocket anyway. And in the end, probably was one shot too many for him to try and manage, as he missed the red into the left corner. But in the end, once again, as I say, doesn't leave anything to his opponent, and still has 36 points cushion to his name in frame number 4. Still has one more red on the side cushion there to try and give himself a little bit of breathing space, as of course Yuan will need all of those reds to try and score if he is to win this frame, as Trump once again being very inaccurate in terms of his safe play and gives away a shot into the left middle. Not for the first time in this frame alone. So Yuan Sijun got that one too thick there. Nowhere near enough action on the cue ball point of view. And now, as I say, leaves away a red into the right corner. It's not into the left corner. It's not going to be easy though, as Yuan is certainly not one of the tallest players, so you'll have to reach for this shot. And so be careful in terms of his cue ball position. Having a very close look at the yellow there. Make sure he doesn't touch it. And important shot this is for him to stay in this match, and he makes it. So all of a sudden, this is not game over now for him, of course. He's still only one frame away from evening the points tally. And it's now only 35 points behind Judd Trump. The position is probably beneficial and positive in terms of the red placement. The majority of the colours are going to be on their spots as well, with only pink and the black being out of position slightly, but still more than enough room for those to be played. And it's a nice little transition there from Yuan to get himself on the red on the bottom part of the table. So screw back on this cue ball, land himself for the blue a couple of times. Just make sure he's got the pink spot available. But what a mistake that is. I was right in behind the shot on the camera, and what a scratch that is. He spotted the cue ball into the right middle after trying to screw back for the blue. The cue ball should have been anywhere near the pocket there, but in the end it is a massive blunder. And what a let-off for Judd Trump. It was one of the easiest shots you will see a professional player to pot the cue ball from, and it certainly will give a lot of confidence to Judd Trump if he was lacking any. But once again, I mean, the amount of long pots that Trump has managed to make in this match already, I mean, I calculated at least 5 out of 5 there. Schoolboy error, well, it's a rookie error. I get that he's 25 and he's very young, but he's not 16, is he? Which is, funnily enough, was the age when they first met in the 2016 International Championship. Last 64 it was, with Trump winning that match quite comfortably by 6 frames to 3. Now finds himself once again on a break of a chance, and probably on the brink of winning the frame here, but has to bridge over another red there, making the shot a little bit awkward. Still managed to find his way through. Just to wait to explain, shouldn't have done that. Well, I'll probably, but I mean, it wasn't like he was playing the easiest of the reds. He probably was playing the right red. He could have played for the pink if he wanted to. He just, the pink would have had to go underneath the reds, which is why he wanted to go for the blue. But still, the cue ball should have been anywhere near the middle pocket. He didn't really need to use the cushion anyway. He wanted to, but in the end, it has turned into a disaster for him, as Judd Trump now has got a frame ball on his hands. So 57 points, place 3 now, looking to make that 58 place 3, and only 51 points on the table. That is now a scoreline that is looking 3-1 in favour of Judd Trump, and he's only one frame away of making it to the last 16. And as I say, we'll face the winner of Gary Wilson against Elias Slesser pair. The last time I checked, Slesser was winning that one by 2 frames to 0. I'll have a look how that match is going on in a second, when Trump will actually finish off with his break. Don't think that'll take too much time, as he's landing himself for the double into the middle here. GG's in this frame, and the trajectory was predictable, certainly was. Needs to forget that now. Well, I think if he forgets it, doesn't really matter, because when you give away 3 frames to Judd Trump on like sort of back-to-back there, he's now got 3 chances to win this match, and I think he'll certainly take at least one of those. But Sijun, of course, has to try and do his best. There's no point giving up so early, as Trump is now with a lead of 3 frames to 1. Lipe Fan and Mark Selby are still battling away for the 3rd frame, with Selby now being ahead by a handful of points, and Elias Slesser is going to win frame number 3 as well there, with Gary Wilson needing more than 3 snookers, so probably just a matter of time until that one is over, and Elias Slesser will be only 1 frame away from potentially facing Judd Trump. You could tell Yuan Sijun is capable of coming back, but we're about to find out if he can very, very soon. Robbie Williams is winning against Pang Jung-soo by 2 frames to 0. So continuing the form that he's managed to show against Kyron Wilson, beating the world number 2 and sending him out of the first Home Nations tournament this season on the World Snooker Tour. And yes, the frame number 5 is about to start here. We're not waiting for any of the players to come back from the bathroom break. It could still prove to be the last frame, especially with the way that Trump has started the last couple of those, being very clinical in terms of his long potting angle. And the only frame really, realistically lost was the opening one, which it didn't really get up to speed. And he could have lost a couple of more there. Could have been a 2-2 of a scoreline had Sijun been a bit more clinical, but in the end, it is the world number 1 that he's playing, so the pressure is going to be on him, the tension is going to be there, and so far the performance hasn't really been there, as everything seems to be set up for frame number 5 to begin. So last moments until that actually happens, and until then, so still battle in the 3rd frame between Mark Selby and Elias Slesser. Mark Selby and Lipe Fan there. Elias Slesser having a little battle of his own against Gary Wilson. Both Slesser and Selby looking like they're going to be favourites for the 3rd frame. As we're going to get the 5th frame underway here, with Judd Trump being the player that'll do that off the break-off. And still can make this one the last frame of the entire match here, should he be victorious in this one as well. Starts off with a nice little break-off shot there. We'll have the yellow in between the cue ball and the only one of those reds that Sijun could have potentially tried and gone for. And if you look at the total points scored, of course, 270 for Judd Trump, only 103 for Yuan Sijun, so probably correct scoreline at the moment. Be good if Robertson gets his 1000th century today. It's a shame that I can't do the match against Jackson Page there, but I'll certainly be looking forward to it, and it'll be a massive milestone for Robber if he does it. I mean, he only become, what, 4th player to do it? After John Higgins, Judd Trump and Ronnie O'Sullivan. Don't think there's any more of them. And certainly looking forward to the potential clash of Sean Murphy against Neil Robertson in last 16. Should they beat their opponents in Fang Jingyu and Jackson Page respectively. For now, Trump has got a red into the green pocket to try and play. Potentially, if he decides he fancies it. Probably can afford to do that at this point of the match, but let's see if he wants to do it. Or he's just going to be a safety shot to try and play. As, it does look like he is taking this red on into the green pocket. So once again, as I say, being so clinical with those long pots. And once again, straight into the heart of the pocket it goes. Didn't even touch the jaws there. And a brilliant shot to start what could be the last break of the match here by Judd Trump. And you have to just feel for the 25-year-old Chinese player, as there's probably nothing he's done wrong in terms of his safety play, but some of the shots from Trump have been absolutely ridiculous. And he's now on the break of 8. Very similar position in terms of the reds available to him to the one he's had in the previous frame. Of course, trying to develop the position a bit too soon there, running out of position on the blue, giving a couple of chances away to his opponent, but still managed to get through the clash and get himself to a 3-1 lead. So many players are on form this week. Well, it's a short format, and as I say, they probably are forced to be on form, as we've seen to one player that hasn't been on form, it being Kyron Wilson, and we all know what happened to him out in the first round that he participated in being the 3rd round of the entire tournament. So the players like Judd Trump, like Neil Robertson, like Sean Murphy, and like Mark Selby have to be on top of the form there, as Trump goes into the reds once again. So probably didn't have too many reds to play for this time around, and only has got once again a difficult green into the green pocket. Difficult red, I should say, into the green pocket. Current played like didn't care at all in the early frames. No, I just think I would disagree with that. I still think he played similarly to the way that Robertson and Trump have played. But the problem is, I think it was very significant for him to win the 2nd frame. As Trump there has got a brilliant shot into the green pocket once again. And it surely is going to be the end of the story for Yuan Sijun. As even though he's only on the break of 31 here, after another ping disappears, it's looking very likely that he will take it away now. But yeah, when Robertson lost the first frame to Akani there, he managed to win 4 frames on the row, with a 4-1. When Selby lost the opening frame to Highfield, he managed to do the same thing. And when Trump lost the opening frame to Yuan Sijun, he managed to do the same thing. The reason why Kyron couldn't do it, I think, is because he lost 2 in a row. And when you lose 2 in a row, he's had a brilliant 3rd frame, he's had a brilliant 5th frame, but he managed to still lose the 4th one, and it was a 2-3 of a scoreline, and it just gives away a chance to an opponent, a deserved loss. Yeah, it probably was, to be fair. I think the right person has won, but still, I would say that had it been a longer match, potentially, Kyron would have been able to come back in that clash in against Williams. But Williams certainly showing that he wasn't a one-match wonder, as he's got an early lead of 2-0 against Pang Jung-soo. And Trump now on the verge of claiming his 4th frame on the bounce. Once again doing that with a high value of breaks here, already on 45. 2 more easy reds to try and pick out for him until he has to do some adjustments to the position. On 46 points now, and lands a bit straight on these blacks, so it gives a little blink to the camera, so it doesn't seem to be too happy about it. So has got a little bit of an angle, so I'm not too sure what the grimace was about. In the end, he's fine, and he's on 53 points with the last available red to his name into the left corner. In the end, they'll make it 83 available on the table with These black making it 61 of a gap here for Trump. So 2 more reds, and that will be game over for Yuan Sijun, and certainly be the 3rd time that Trump has beaten Yuan Sijun in the English Open here. So needs to have one more good shot here to get himself onto the reds, but in the end hasn't done it. So doesn't look like it's going to be a straightforward ending here. Trump's so much more clinically game these days. Well, I probably would agree with you to an extent, but he has lost to Oliver Lyons in the first round in Saudi Arabia, and he's also lost to Gary Wilson in the Wuhan Open. So I still want to see a little bit more of Trump in terms of his clinical game, but the fact that he's managed to get through the first round and could be about to do the same thing in the second round is going to be a positive. Get himself into last 16. But I think whoever it's going to be, whether it's going to be a rematch against Gary Wilson or it's going to be a match against Elias Lesser, if of course Trump will get through to that match, which I think he will now, after a dreadful shot of Yuan Sijun now. So certainly it's going to be bye-bye to his start in the home nations tournament at the English Open, and he has to settle for the 4th round spot. Can't really do any more than that when Trump is about to book himself in the last 16. As I say, only has 3 more shots to go to do that, and then you'll be comfortably away. He lands himself nicely on this blue, and the next red will be a frame ball with 67 points on the table. Should this blue and the red go in, the Trump will be ahead by 68 points there. So the match is certainly not going to last very, very long. There being just over an hour and 15 minutes of the entire time since the match has started. Of course, the actual table time is going to be less than that. But Trump doesn't seem like he's perfect on the frame ball. Has got a red into the left middle to try and play, potentially. Don't think that was the red that he was aiming for, though. As for now, he's still not over the line, with it being 67 points of a gap, 75 on the table. Looks like it's GG, so 1 more shot now. And it's a safety shot, so Trump obviously couldn't get through to that red into the left middle. So Sijun just about hangs on here as Trump puts one of those reds onto the side cushion. So clever shot there. Make sure that if Sijun gets himself a chance, he'll have at least one massive obstacle to try and deal with. Elliot will be the harder game. I think so. I would probably agree with you on that, because even though Gary Wilson is a runner-up at Wuhan Open, I still haven't seen consistency from him. I think it was very much him winning 2 frames in brilliant fashion and then just making too many mistakes in the other frames. But ultimately, he did get himself into a decider against Zalgiron, so you can't say too much bad stuff about him, but hasn't had a brilliant start to these tournaments so far. And Trump there had a chance to close off the frame and the match, but missed the red into the right corner. So Yuan still is hanging on here, has got a red to himself into the left corner. Of course, the red that Trump has managed to put safe earlier on is no longer safe, with it being the one that Trump actually managed to catch on his way back. So Sijun needs to make this one stick and land himself on the colour, and he hasn't done any of the tasks. Didn't land himself on the colour, and he's also missed the red into the corner. Gives away a chance now to Trump once again to close off the frame and the match here. 67 still not done. Yes, exactly, but he's done now, with it being 68 and 67 on the table. A shake of the head there by Yuan Sijun. He could have won more frames. I'm not going to say he could have won this match, but he could have won more than just a single frame. But it looks like it is GG's, with Trump there putting the black on the cushion. I think it'll be a couple of more shots here for Sijun, just for the fact that it's only 1 snooker that he's behind. But it certainly is GG's now. At least I would say that, with the black being out of position and the reds being spread out, not in the perfect circumstances. And still, it is Sijun needing snookers on top of all of that. And for now finds a decent safety shot, but once again leaves a potential red into the left corner for Trump. That at this stage of the match he can certainly be taking on without any hesitation. And he's missed it. He's going to be close to the middle though. In the end he'll miss it and get himself a little bit more luck. So didn't get too much of that, to be fair, throughout the encounter here against Yuan Sijun, but certainly got a little bit of it there, with the black ball being the color in between the cue ball and the red into the right middle. And now he's GG. The GG's means game gone. Now he's GG's. Well, it's a brilliant explanation, but I think it is good game. And basically his game is over, yeah. So I really hope it is an explanation. Zero chance Yuan is still in this, yeah. I agree with that. And as a bad safety shot, and it is Judd coming to shake the hands there with the Yuan Sijun, and it is Judd will progress to the last 16 here at the expense of the Chinese world number 30, and Judd will potentially set himself up with a clash of either against Elias Slesser or Gary Wilson. The scoreline in that match is 3-0 to Slesser, so certainly it's a massive mountain to climb for Gary Wilson fan. Mark Selby doing a very similar thing there, leading Li Pei Fan by 3 frames to 0. And GG's Kevin, good game, but yeah, it means the game is over basically, yeah, that's what it is. And it certainly is game over now, with the 3 other matches are all having an identical scoreline of 3 frames to 0. Robbie Williams leading Pang Jung-soo by 3 frames to 0. Mark Selby leading Li Pei Fan by 3 frames to 0. And Elias Slesser leading Gary Wilson by 3 frames to 0. And as I say, we'll be back in action in less than 40 minutes. And until then, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you around for potentially Mark Williams against Joel Yulong match. And if you want to tune in for the later action at the first Home Nations tournament, feel free to do that. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you around soon. Take care.